So we've caught our beaver, we've skinned them, we have butchered them, we've deboned them and trimmed the meat up, and now it's time for the final step, and that is turning the beavers into burgers. So Ellie and I are going to do some meat grinding today, so let's get started. And this is my supervisor, Miss Ellie, and you can see she has her beaver in her mouth, her stuffed beaver. We have a very distinct agreement on separation of labor. Miss Ellie takes care of her beavers, and I take care of mine. Somehow I think I get the short end of the stick. Now here's a quick overview of how I like to set things up. I have my grinder, and you can see the grinder is up on the kitchen counter, and it's elevated compared to the tubs, the meat tubs, where I'm going to be catching the ground meat. Now right next to it, I have my meat. This is 80% beaver and 20% bacon ends by weight. The bacon ends provide the fat that allow it to patty up and allow you to grill the burgers and keep them nice and juicy. I have a roll of paper towels, I have my gloves, and my bins. And I just set up a little utility table here to hold everything. Now one tip in addition to getting your grinding plate flush and your knife sharp is to get your meat firmed up. You can see there's a little bit of ice on this stainless steel mixing bowl. That's because this has been in the deep freezer firming up. It's much easier to grind meat that's a little firm than meat that's hot and mushy, especially if you're using a lower powered grinder like I have. I've done a review on this grinder. This is just a cheap little limb grinder. Every year I tell myself I'm going to upgrade and spend the money and get a better grinder, and it just seems like this little thing just keeps chugging along. So anyway, let's get started grinding. Okay, so here we are. We've finished grinding, and that's all looking good. Now, while I do the cleanup, I'm going to go ahead and put this back in the fridge and keep it nice and cool while I go ahead and clean the grinder and the tubs and get everything cleaned up and sort of put the kitchen back together. But that's looking good already, let me tell you. Now, if you don't have a vacuum sealer, let me show you a little trick that I use that works pretty well. I don't like to use butcher paper or butcher wrap. I like to be able to see what's in my package and see the condition of it. So what I do is I just take a spoon and I'll spray the spoon with some Pam cooking spray so it doesn't stick to the meat too bad. Bring out the plastic sheet, or the plastic wrap, and I'll just spoon in however much I want in this particular pack. I usually go, I don't know, 1.5 pounds, 2 pounds, something like that. It's up to you however much you want to put in each pack, however much you want to unthaw it at one time. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get it flat and sort of square. It stacks in the freezer real well that way, and it seems to unthaw easily that way. So I'll just cut the plastic wrap, and I'll bring it over. And all I'm going to do is just try and get the edges sealed and squeeze the air out a little bit. Get it nice and tight, tuck the edges under. Then I'm going to do that one more time. Pull that out. So now I've got a nice little square. And the final step is to just take a freezer bag and stick it in there, like so. And I'll go ahead and suck the air out of it. Let's leave ourselves a note. And we're done. Okay, so here's the final tally. Let's take a look. This was 3 beavers that I processed. What I ended up with was approximately 15 pounds of burger, and those were off the front shoulders and the rear hindquarters. So 15 pounds of meat, organic grass-fed meat these days in my area is going for $8 a pound. That's $120 worth of burger right there. Broken down into meals, if I do 1/3 pound patties and I have 15 pounds, that's 45 burgers. For a family of 3, that's 15 meals right there. So that's not bad. Of course, with Meat Trapper Jr., my son Andrew, who is 12 years old and wears a men's size 12 shoe, he eats considerably more than I do these days. So he'll go through this pretty quick. I've got 3 packages of beaver liver and hearts. I've got 6 slabs of ribs. The back straps were not in this. They have already ended up on the grill, and they were quite good. Let's see, that doesn't include the castor glands and the oil sacs, which I haven't shown, the pelts, and of course the bones that are already in the freezer for making stock. So anyway, I'm hoping the math here starts to add up and the bells start going off. By utilizing the animal, you can really put a lot of food on the table, and you can save a lot of money. And it is such high quality, healthy, organic, steroid-free food. And I honestly believe that's one reason that my son has grown to the size that he has. He's been raised on this. And like I say, he's 12 years old. He's 5'7" and wears a men's size 12 shoe, and he's never sick. He is absolutely never sick. So anyway, not a bad day's work.